What's up, guys? I'm Derek. Welcome to my channel, Euro Superbike Life, where if it's European Superbike related, we're riding them, we're racing them, we're modifying them, we're fixing them, just like on today's episode. Today, we are changing the oil on my MV Agusta F3 800 right after this. Welcome back, guys. So before we get started, you guys know that I like to show you exactly the tools and the items that you're going to need to complete the job. So let's head on over to my tool chest and check out what you're going to need. So initially what we have here is we have a 4mm Allen socket. You can use, come on, focus. I guess that's as good as what I'm going to get. A 4mm Allen socket. You can use regular T-handles or your standard, Allen keys as such if you like. I happen to be using sockets. I'm going to use some T-handles in this job as well. We have an 8mm Allen socket. We have a Torx bit. This is a T30 with an extension, 1/4-inch drive. We have a 5mm T-handle Allen wrench. We'll talk about that later, but you really should just need the 4 and the 8 and the Torx bit. We have a 1/4-inch drive ratchet, 3/8 drive ratchet, our favorite full synthetic 5W30 oil, a stand, our oil filter and crush washer along with O-ring, our funnel, and a drain pan to drain the oil into. I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being super easy and 10 being we need to take this to the dealer. I can't do this at all. This is probably a 1 or a 1.5 or a 2. This is super easy, guys. So without further ado, let's go on over to the bike and get started. Okay, guys, so we're over here at the bike, and the first thing we want to do is remove the 4mm Allen bolts that hold the lower pan on. There are 4 of them total, but on my bike, I have one that's back here that's 5mm. That's not stock size. So if you have a stock fairing back here on here, they're all going to be 4mm. You won't need the 5mm, but like I said, I bought this bike pre-owned and there's a 5mm back here. So grab your Allen head, your 4mm Allen key, and remove the 4 bolts. It's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I'm going to grab my drill because I'm a lazy ass. And this panel comes right off. What I forgot to mention, always safety first. So put your bike on a rear stand so you can get up under here. You can do this on a side stand, but it's always kind of janky, so get yourself a good stand. Put the bike up on the rear stand or chalk the front. That way you're safe, you're sure that the bike's not going to tip over or anything like that. The other thing is that your oil in your bike should be nice and warm before you start this. Warm oil always flows a little bit better. So go out, ride your bike for a little bit, and then come back in, let it cool for 5-10 minutes, and then we can start draining the oil. I've ridden this maybe about an hour ago. It's still warm to the touch, so I'm good here. Next thing we want to do is we want to grab our oil pan and make sure that we can slide it up under here. We can, all right. Now we're going to grab our ratchet and our 8mm socket, and we're going to start to remove the oil drain plug. Here we are under the bike. Here is the oil drain plug right here, which is really nice because we only have to remove this, the fairing that was here. We don't have to remove the entire fairing. We could just remove this one little section, but oil drain plug is here. We'll loosen that up, then we'll drain the oil into the pan. All right, so we broke it loose. Now we're gonna get our pan ready because we don't want to get oil all over the ground. And again, this oil is going to be warm, so again, be careful. All right, so now we're draining it out, and you can remove the fill cap to allow it to drain a little bit faster. There we go. Grab our shop towel. We'll let that drain for a minute. and we'll come back. So the oil's had a few minutes to drain here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to slide the oil pan out of the way a little bit. We are going to grab our T30 quarter-inch drive ratchet and bit, and we are going to remove the oil filter cartridge, which is up under the bike here, just in the same area where the oil drain plug is. Hopefully you can see this. Hopefully it's not a, let's see. We got enough light here, but so we have 3 T30 Torx size screws here. 1, 2, 3, and we need the extension for this one back here in the corner because it's so close to the exhaust. You can't exactly get the bit on there exactly. So let's grab our tools and remove it. I forgot to mention I have my garage door open because it's a beautiful night here in February. It's about 80 degrees. It's gorgeous right now. But you're gonna hear cars driving by, people walking by, maybe my dogs or whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead and apologize in advance. Right on cue. Car goes by. All right, so I'm gonna go up under here and loosen them up one by one. There's 3. Now we want to slide the pan back under because we're going to lose some fluid here. And we want that to pull down, and out it comes. Now, there is a spring in here. Show this to you guys. Don't lose this spring. We need this. It's very important. Here is our oil filter cartridge. And then of course the housing. Hey guys, so everything's had an opportunity to drain here. We've drained all the oil out. We removed our old oil filter. We've let it drain a little bit here as well. So now it's time to reinstall our drain plug, but first we have to change our crush washer. So grab our new crush washer here. Here is our drain plug with our old crush washer. Pretty simple, take it off. Clean off the old plug a little bit. Put the new crush washer on and reinstall. We are going to grab our 8mm Allen socket and our 3/8 drive ratchet. And you guys know me, I am not a torque Nazi. If you're looking for specific torque specs on this, I'm sure you can find it online. I am just going to make it snug. Just like that. Wipe it off a little bit. All right, now let's grab our oil filter and reinstall that. Okay, so before we reinstall our oil filter, here is the oil filter housing, and you'll notice that it has an O-ring on it. We need to replace that O-ring with our new one that came in the kit. So all you want to do is grab yourself a little flathead screwdriver or a pick like this, and we don't care about marring this one, but we don't want to mar the aluminum housing, and we just scoop it off there, put it aside, grab our new one, and run it on there. Grab a little bit of oil and run it around the end here. We don't want to put a dry O-ring back up in there because it could snag and possibly pinch and tear. We'll have to do this all over again, so you don't want to do that. All right? Let's set that there. Now, don't forget our spring. And you can see our spring is pretty much the same on both sides here. One side isn't smaller or larger than the other. But what we do need to know is that on our oil filter cartridge, you can see one side has a divot for the spring, and the other side has an O-ring. What we want to do is make sure that the cartridge goes in like this, not like this. The O-ring needs to seal inside the engine on top, and once you put it in there, you'll have to make sure that you center it in there because there's not anything that goes down in there like that. But you'll need to make sure that we center it. Then we'll put the spring like this underneath, put the spring like that underneath, and then the housing and the spring will sit in the center of the housing right there. So It's all a little bit complicated, but let's get to it. I don't know how much of this you'll be able to see because I'm gonna have to lay on my back. I really need to get a Harbor Freight or some type of lift so I don't do this. I'm really too old to be laying around on this hard concrete. I'm gonna pay for it this evening, I guarantee you that. So again, rubber side up. We're going to center it. Spring. Grab our housing. Try to line everything up. Get our screws. Try to get them in there finger tight initially. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Now make sure you're aligned straight here. The last thing you want to do is cross thread these things, because the next time you go to do the oil change, someone's going to pay for it if they're cross threaded. That's probably when you end up taking it to the dealer. Alright, so those are all started on there. Now we are going to grab our 1/4" drive ratchet, our Torx bit, T30 again, with the extension. You just want to work your way around these. You don't tighten one all the way down, because you don't want your housing to go in there crooked. All right. So that's on there, all snugged up. Let's grab a little brake clean, because I noticed I got a little bit of oil on the exhaust. We don't want it to smoke, so we'll grab a little brake clean and clean up some oil mess down here and call it good. All right, let's grab a little brake clean and clean up the exhaust here. Now it's time to grab our funnel and our oil and put some oil in this thing. I'm going to grab your funnel. Yes, I switched up funnels on you guys from what I showed in my tools section. That particular funnel had some foreign debris in it that I really didn't want to flush down into my crankcase. I couldn't get it all out, so went to a generic funnel. Grab that and your 5W40 oil. I'm using Castrol 5W40 full synthetic. It calls for 2.5 liters, which is approximately 2.6 quarts, a little over 2.5 quarts. So we're going to start with 2, then we'll check with the dipstick. There are markers on here. So there's a line here and a line here. You should fall somewhere in between. And we'll go from there. Grab our dipstick. And where'd my towel go? Shop towel, shop towel. All right. Put that in there. Make sure you screw it all the way down. It doesn't need to be tight, but you gotta screw it all the way down to make sure that it gets down to the right level. And then we'll back it out and check the level. And we are almost there. I don't know, you guys can't see that, but you know. So we'll put in a 1/2 quart. Shop towel, shop towel. And a measurement. And now we are good. We are at the top of the line here. So now we are going to fire it up, let it run for a minute, and then we'll check the level again. And if we're good, then all we have to do is put on the lower fairing here, and we're done. And we are back. I let the bike run for a little while, shut it off, and it's been sitting for a couple of minutes. So now we're going to check the oil level one last time, and if it's good, we're going to throw the panel on the bottom, and it's a wrap. And we are good. So let's grab our finishing panel or our lower fairing and our 4mm Allen bolts. For me, one of them is 5mm, but you 4mm, and let's reinstall it. Okay, when I reinstall these, reinstall this panel, I like to start with these two screws here. That way they'll give me some, line up. I won't tighten them all the way down. I just put them in there finger tight kind of thing, and then I line up the other two on the bottom, and then once those are started, then I can start torquing everything down to a final tightness. That one I snugged down all the way because it was the last one. So now I'll go back and snug up the rest. Well, that's a wrap for this episode, guys, where we changed the oil and filter on my MV Agusta F3800. Stay tuned for other episodes like this, because I got a lot of good stuff coming up, particularly some Go Fast goodies on my track day BMW S1000RR. We are also going to change the coolant in my MV Agusta F3800. We're going to swap out the old antifreeze and put in some distilled water and water wetter. It's the Arizona desert here. I'm not worried about freezing, so I want it to run cooler. Nevertheless, if you found this episode helpful or useful in any way, please click like and subscribe. Car driving by, because I don't want you to miss any of the exciting stuff I have coming up for 2018. I am Derek. This is your Superbike Life. That's a wrap. Take care, guys. Bye now. You thought that was it, didn't you? Shame on you for leaving early. Check out what I have coming up in one of my next episodes for my dedicated track bike, my BMW S1000RR. We have a Moto D data logger, some Olin's goodies, and a 520 conversion kit complete with a 46-tooth rear sprocket and a 16-tooth front sprocket and a new DID chain, plus my new Motul digital sag scale. Now you can leave. Later, guys.